around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second.
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. Haven't got it. He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Hello everybody and welcome to the final round of the Radical Race Series here for Season 2 of 2023. It's a change up from the usual setting that we have over in Germany at the Nordschleife. We're here at Le Mans, instead in the north of France, the Circuit de la Sarthe. The final two races of this season, and once again, as has been so often in the last couple of seasons of this championship, it has been a championship decider at the end of our season as well, which we're very much looking forward to. Simon Edwards searching for his 6th title, John McCutchinson searching for his 2nd. My name is Ewan O'Leary, alongside James Parfitt here this evening. We're very much looking forward to this one, James. We very much enjoy these races on Thursday nights, and for the 2nd season in a row, we've got a championship finale involving Simon Edwards as well, and you'd have to say the odds are in his favour for him to repeat and take a 6th title.
Yeah, it definitely is here as well. I think it's going to be an exciting one. Nobody would have put Simon Edwards near the top of his table this year. He didn't like the car. He doesn't like it. That's it. That's basically the be-all and end of all of it. He wasn't happy about it. And nobody would have put him where he is right now. You know, he's got an 11-point gap. It's going to be interesting with the drop week. So, you know, he can only drop a maximum of 18. He needs basically 2 second places. to be fair, I think it could probably escape a top 5 and still take title number 6. It's incredibly close once more with him in it. Do you know? And obviously with McHutchinson in there as well, Scottish spirit, never going to give up, but it's going to be a tough one.
It is going to be tough for him, and we'll see where he gets to in this race really now, because as I say, the odds are stacked very much against him, and as I say, Edwards can only lose 18 points. 2 top finishes would be enough for Edwards to go home with the title at the end of the day, and so he'll be looking to do that over the course of the 2 races here at Le Mans. Let's take a final look at those championship standings before we go any further with this one, with the 11-point gap that Edwards and McHutchinson have. Mike Bousson is pretty secure in 3rd place. He's got too big of a gap to catch anybody ahead and too big of a gap behind to lose positions. Paul Crabb might be able to catch him, but it's looking unlikely. Luke Maxwell's drop weeks are now coming into effect. He's losing points, but I don't think he'll be enough to lose out to Paul LeMay, who's 6th. Seth Brown, Sergio Dela Cruz, Paul Clark and Darrell Taylor are inside the top 10. Paul Godden and David Beasley and Wayne Palmer all got a bit closer last week, with George Gonzaga falling down the order. Phil Justin and Michael LeMay also made up places, while Phil Glover, Dan Webster and Jamie Bird dropped down. Robert Woodward remains 20th, and then below that there were no other positional changes in the championship. That includes Martina Ward, Patrick Charlton, James Child, David Royston, Colin Wynne, Dave Kirkman, Andy Hugo, Gary Tall and Graham Brown, all of whom didn't, and indeed some of the others as well, like Damien G and Ben Underdown right at the very bottom. None of these changing positions particularly as a result of their previous rounds, because a lot of them weren't here at Imola 1 week ago. It was a bit of a different event really, Imola, than what we've seen sometimes previous. We had a fantastic ending to race 1 with Simon Edwards versus John McHutchinson down in towards Ravazza at the end of the lap. McHutchinson in the end holding off Edwards, but they went right for it, right into the final corner. Edwards went off into the gravel. McHutchinson went for a half spin. In the end, they both got out 1 and 2, with McHutchinson just taking the race win there, but Edwards replying in the second race. So it was an interesting one, but like we've seen on many occasions this season, actually, especially in recent times, the gap between the two has not been very large. Out of 3 of the 4 last weeks, the gap between them in points has not been bigger than 3 points. And so that says a lot really about how close these two are, and what this point system really does for us now is it's giving us some really close championships, but it's making it quite difficult to gain any margins that you've previously lost, as John McHutchinson is finding out in the latter weeks of this championship.
I think that's what we were talking about, and we've touched on it. Good evening, Mod, as well. Welcome in, Phil, as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Great to see some familiar faces in this race, if they watch this back with live chat on. Hello, folks. Hello, mate. I think this series in general has really been a standout series for us, because they've always been close. You know, Paul LeMay was up there right at the beginning and he slowly drifted off. Edwards has started coming through, McHutchinson as well. So for us itself, the racing has been great. This format has been absolutely incredible. And I think the format itself has lended to the great racing that we've got, the great closeness that we've got as well, because the reverse grid thrown in just for good health as well has provided and has shown us that literally the racing coming out of a reverse grid, as we watch Edwards just go round there, he doesn't want to be doing that in the race, the reverse grid racing is absolutely incredible. We've had some great races this season.
We have had some very entertaining ones indeed. At the reverse grids especially. Top 10 reversed, of course, and that doesn't benefit everybody, but it does mean that people still do race for something, especially at the back, which sometimes doesn't happen in reverse grid races. But that's going to be nearing the end of its second season, actually, now. We've been doing it for the entirety of 2023, but previously to that, it was just 1 race per evening, the usual radical distance in the official series. That meant it mirrored the officials very, very closely and didn't provide such close championships as we saw here. I mean, Luke Maxwell and Simon Edwards had a close one in Maxwell's so far only title here in the Radical Race Series. But Edwards is the only driver to have conquered both of the formats, and he might be able to continue that record by completing the set of 2 now for sprint and feature format seasons that we've had in the Radical Race Series. Long lap around here at Le Mans, of course, as well, and it is a big change to what we see at the Nordschleife. I mean, I often do complain, or sometimes do anyway, complain about the racing at the Nordschleife, that it's not that interesting because how difficult the circuit is. Drivers haven't actually got anything left to race with, to race one another with, but Le Mans is going to be a very, very different prospect. Everybody is going to be on this long Mulsanne straight with a lot of slipstream and a lot of opportunity into these chicanes, into the Mulsanne corner, into other places as well, to overtake, because that's the kind of circuit that Le Mans is.
Yeah, not everybody loves this circuit. I said to you, I'm not a lover of Le Mans. It can be great racing, and then if the field gets spread out, it can be a bit on the bore side. But I don't think we're going to have that here. I think these guys are going to be close with the likes of Edwards, McCutcheon, Paul Crabb, of course, who's been putting himself in and around. And at one point we thought might have come out on top as well, but just started drifting off and lost points and made some silly mistakes as the season went on. But I think this race here could be an exciting one, and I say it could be because I'm hoping it stays really close. I don't want one of them scenarios where it's a 5-car pile up at the beginning and everybody behind gets caught in it, because otherwise they're all going to spread out and then we're just going to be watching cars go down the straights. But I'm hoping these guys won't do that.
Yeah, hoping that won't be the case. Interesting to see, actually, that everybody gets to do a very short outlap here at Le Mans. You get to enter your car just on the exit of the Porsche curves at the end of the lap, which means that you've got 12 minutes basically to do what you want here. We have, of course, had a change in qualifying format here for this round. It's now a 12-minute session, but you still only get 2 laps now. It's even reduced to what we saw previously. There were fears in the week that with a 10-minute session, you'd only actually get 1, maybe 2 flying laps, but clearly that has been all dealt with. And it's not even relatively important at Le Mans, to be honest. You can make your way through the order fairly well, but you'd much rather start at the front than at the back, that is for sure. Couple of purple sectors so far for Mike Bousson, who's the first out there, and he's the first setting purple times, although the likes of Simon Edwards has responded with some purple times, as well as others. Paul Crabb, I think one of those who's got a purple time at the moment, so it's very close between them all, and we'll see what lap times they've got at the end of this very long circuit, which does retain some very close lap times despite its length. Yeah,
it definitely will. It definitely will as well, and these guys aren't going to be, you know, haphazard or haphazard going into this race. They're going to want to go in. They're going to want to get the victory. You know, we're expecting Simon Edwards, who's probably got nothing on his wing this week, and is just literally running bare, and that's about it. You know, I think we had it previously where they were all just running the same and nobody really made a difference going into each other. I think at Bathurst, I think that's really showed predominantly going down the Conrad Straight, where they were drafted and Edwards was still staying in front because everybody had zero wing and it was just going to be tough for all of them. Spa was another circuit as well, and I'm hoping that this does provide that draft, that action that we're so used to here as well for a season finale. I was surprised they went with Le Mans. I thought they might have picked a shorter, nippy track to sort of go to the end with. As you say, they've, you know, everybody's had enough of Nords. They've been at Nords more times than anything. You know, they've done it every at the end of every season as long as I've been here. You know, and I think that's the thing. I don't know if I was more shocked by the fact that they went with Le Mans than I was expecting, I don't know, Orton or Brands or something short and nippy. But I'm hoping that the racing comes out of Le Mans and we can sit back and say that was actually a great night's racing considering the circuit we're on.
I really enjoy Le Mans, I've got to say. Indeed, driving it, even though it can get a little bit boring standing on the straight all the time. Oh, well, moving quite fast on the straight, but not doing a whole lot on the straight, certainly. But the racing you get because of the slipstream, I think, is personally fantastic. And there are some great corners as well. Into the final section right now for Simon Edwards. He's through one of the best sections on the road. It's going to be Bousson who goes over the line first to set the benchmark, but Edwards is surely going to go faster, and he does up to the front. Crabb goes into second place as well, but there are some purple times for some further back. John McCutcheon is going quite quickly here. By the looks of things, And there's a number of purple sectors actually scattered right across the field here in this opening one. I think Paul Clark has got one of them, maybe Hezzy, at the moment.
Yeah.
Over the line he goes. Where's Paul Clark going to get to? Nowhere. He must have invalidated it, gone off track at some point. Jamie Bird's even got a purple sector, but John McCutcheon has as well. I don't think anybody's got more than one purple sector to their name, which is exceptionally odd.
Yeah, it definitely is as well. And as we can see from John McCutcheon's livery there, he's brought out the famous Scottish livery that we know so well of his. He's brought it out back for this series. I'm expecting great things currently out of him himself. He's going to try and get a lap time on the board, and then he's probably going to have enough maybe for one more. I don't think he's going to get another one in. As he's coming around that backside of the circuit. I think it's going to be interesting to see how determined he's going to be. I think he's going to try so hard. This is going to be the very end. It's going to be, he will not give up. He's not going to turn around and roll over. He's going to battle this right the way through till it's literally, it's like he said, until it's mathematically impossible that I can't win, I will go for it all the time. So it's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, he goes over the line right now and sets the best time. With just over half the session remaining, John McCutcheon goes to the top. A fantastic start for him. But yeah, he's always said, to be fair as well, he's never the biggest fan of working out the maths on the fly and trying to work out the race that way. He just wants to get his head down and win both races. And then if that's enough, then it is. And if not, then Edwards can have it, because he'll know that, of course, Simon has deserved it. But he will obviously want the title here as well. He's not one of those to really play games with the championship and the points and think, you know, if Simon finishes here, where do I need to be? And all that kind of thing. He's very focused on his own race, and it's the fantastic start for him at the moment. It does seem that Mike Bouston's had a good start to this lap as well, but Simon Edwards is not going that quickly. No purple sectors so far, and even an orange one in there as well, which is especially not good news, because that means he's not even doing a personal best at the moment on this second lap, which is really not ideal. But Bouston's going decently. Needs quite a lot of time, though, to retake that pole position.
Yeah, he's coming in through Indianapolis now on the way on the short run down to Arnage, the right-hander, which will lead him through 21-22. And, ooh, nope, don't want to tidy up that exit. Down into 23, into the Porsche curves there. Edwards has still got 2 yellows on the board. Phil Glover's got greens going across the board as well, but it is going to be Mike Bouston who's going to be the first one of these second laps to go across the line first. Then we're going to have Crabb, Edwards, Glover, and then Darrell Taylor with the first 2 very, very, very close together. Paul Crabb doesn't get a green either. And let's see what Bouston can do now. Coming around 28 and 29. It's going to be an exciting one.
It is. It's such a great section of corners as well, but you don't want to get up on the curb like he did there on the Porsche curve, and that has really ruined his run through Corvette, you'd imagine, and the run towards the Ford chicanes at the end of the lap. I think if he gets up onto the second row, he'll be doing well with this lap time now with that mistake. I know it's a long lap, but even the smallest of mistakes like that can really hinder you through the final couple of corners. It's another bit of a missed apex there through the final turn as well. Bouston goes over the line now, and it will be no improvement by the looks of things for Bouston on that occasion. He might have even got an off track through there. Paul Crabb goes to the top though, and Edwards can't match him. A fantastic lap time from Paul Crabb. Edwards not really near, and now eyes will turn to John McCutcheon. Paul Clark's also going quickly here with a couple of purples at the end of the lap. I just hope he's kept it on the road this time. LeMay goes up to 3rd place, pushing McCutcheon even further down. What about Clark? He goes over the line. It's only 5th for the moment.
Yeah, 5th place for him, waiting for Sergio De La Cruz to come across the line as well. De La Cruz has got a purple on the board at the same time. He goes into 4th. Wow. Look at McCutcheon. Purple, wow. Green, purple, green, purple. It's all his, isn't it, really? All his.
You'd think so, but stranger things have happened, so I'm not willing to call it just yet. Oh, it's another purple sector as well. Surely this is the pole lap now for John McCutcheon, and this run through the Porsche curves is going to be a sight to behold. Throwing it through the right-hander, then the 2 lefts with the wall ever closer with each year to you on the right-hand side, then the slightly longer right-hander that just loops around, making you wait to get onto the throttle, and then a case of not getting on it too early out of Corvette as well. He doesn't take any risks with the off-track, doesn't want that on the exit of Corvette to maybe put an end to this pole position lap. It's really close at the top of the standings at the moment, with 5 drivers separated by 7 tenths. But I think McCutcheon is about to make it very unclose here out the final corner. Over the line he'll go now, and it's going to be pole for John McCutcheon. It's not quite as big of a margin as I was expecting, actually, but he's still comfortable over the rest of the field. And at the end of a couple of laps and an exciting qualifying session, John McCutcheon has done exactly what he needed to in that qualifying session. 9 tenths of a second quicker than the rest.
Yeah, absolutely flying. Evening, James and Ewan. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're well as well. Simon Edwards down in 3rd place. Crab in 2nd. LeMay 4th. Cruz 5th. That was a sight to behold there for what McCutcheon pulled out as well. He got no fewer than 4 purple sectors in 1, 3, 5 and 6, with 7 going to Paul Crab, and believe it or not, Sergio De La Cruz took sector 2 there as well, and he absolutely buried that. I think he knew once he'd got past the first 4 sectors that he was up, he was never going to lose that. I think it was just unbelievable driving there from John McCutcheon, and as we said, he's going to go for it till the end.
He absolutely is. And with the closeness of the rest of the field as well, to be fair, the next 5 drivers separated by 1.7 seconds. The next 4 separated by 6 tenths of a second. There's definitely possibility there for Edwards to lose places, which is what McCutcheon needs, really. He needs the help of others to get ahead of his championship rival, take points away from him, and that's how he's going to win this title here today. And with all the battling at Le Mans, it very much could be possible. So the fact that everybody is quite so close is going to be a huge help to John McCutcheon in his quest for this title. But then again, the fact that it's close also means that he'll be under more pressure as well, so you've got to wonder whether it really benefits either of them if everybody's just in more battling.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting thing as well, is whether or not McCutcheon likes being in that scenario where he's going to be out front and he's going to be chased. In the championship, he's the one doing the chasing. In this one, Edwards is doing the chasing. So it's who's got the call ahead to make past that traffic, to make past, be able to get past and get on and not make mistakes and not panic and think, oh my God, I'm down here, I'm here, I need to be here. It's going to be interesting. I think from Edwards' point of view, he's just got to stay calm. But the grid is on your screen.
Let's have a look at it then. John McCutcheon doing all he can, starting from pole position here alongside Paul Crab, who he's trying to join in being a 2-time winner of this championship. Simon Edwards is alongside Paul LeMay with Sergio De La Cruz and Paul Clark on row 3. Mike Bousson slightly further down than you'd maybe expect to see him alongside George Gonzaga, who's looking for a top 10 in this championship overall. Michael LeMay and James Child round out the top 10 with Darrell Taylor and Phil Glover on row 6. Then it's Robert Woodward, Paul Godden and Jamie Bird, who didn't actually set a lap time in the end due to off-tracks in qualifying for him. He'll be starting from the back. But at the front, it's John McCutcheon, who's trying to take this title away from Simon Edwards, who will also be starting in the same line as him, out there in 3rd position instead. There's Paul Crab, a 2-time champion. McCutcheon trying to join him in that accolade. Also, we've got plenty of other champions up and down at the order as well, including 5 of them for Edwards, trying to make that 6 by the end of tonight. All the odds are currently going in his favour, but will they be after the first race here this evening? The sprint and feature format making its final appearance here this season. In the first season, it has been used in every single round. Round 12 of the Radical Race Series here for Season 2 is underway now. It's a good start for John McCutcheon, fairly equal with Crab, but Edwards has had a barnstormer. He gets up to 2nd place immediately. The 2 protagonists immediately 1 and 2 going into turn 1 on this opening lap. It's LeMay behind with a big dive from Crab on the inside of Bousson, goes around the outside of him in towards the chicane, and there goes Crab. A good qualifying, immediately goes down the drain.
Yeah, Crab was the first one to buckle really in this race. He went for it early and, he didn't go anywhere off the start. He left himself a big old job to try and do after that, and he just got too much pressure on him and just bounced the curb, tried to fight his way back and has spun the curb off there as well. And unfortunately for him, it's done and dusted for Paul Crab. He's now all the way down in 14th place. I've got this horrible feeling that he may have affected Michael LeMay here. He's gone round He comes back round. I believe Michael LeMay is going to be... Oh, he's not. He's got past. But something also happened to Michael LeMay at the same time, and he went off as well. Though obviously... Oh, there we go. That's how he's done that. Oh...
I knew he was going to smack the wall there from the moment he went off. It's very, very close down there. And so you're going to do well to avoid it, to be honest. Already the games begin. The slipstream's so important. But Cuttington trying to break it. Needs to be careful with this kind of thing. But Edwards is going to follow him all the way. And now we're going to see what the games are going to be in terms of downforce as well. How much of these drivers put on? You'd imagine that knowing Edwards will have no downforce on, everybody else has been forced to go with pretty much no downforce as well.
Downforce, I don't even think it's going to be existent in the rear wing there of Simon Edwards. I think there's going to be literally, if he could take that wing off and just put some cardboard on there, he probably would do that as well. And he's fighting away, he's giving it a go. McCutcheon is weaving all the way over the track. It's like snaking, adding miles to the circuit, going left and right to try and break it, but it's going to be a tough one for him. It really is now. It's all under pressure. If these guys get in this draft, it's just going to be backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, and it will come down to the final lap to see who does take that finishing position. LeMay's tucked in there as well. Busson's in there up 3. Martinez, Paul Clark, Childs up 3. Bird's up 6, mind you. And obviously Paul Crabb is down 12 places. But Edwards is going to pull out now and try and have a go down into Indianapolis.
Well, is he or is he going to stay behind here? There's a bit of a hint of defence there from McCutcheon, but he won't decide to down the inside, will Edwards. But this is why I think Le Mans racing is so interesting. The amount of time you spend in the slipstream means that the field stays very close together and you get these fantastic battles, especially towards the end of races, and that surely is what we're going to see here, especially in race 1. Only 4 laps around here. It's barely 15 minutes, if that even, here for this one. So it's a really exciting one, and as you can see at the end of the first lap, which on a normal circuit would be about 2 laps, we've still got 7 drivers still absolutely in contention, although the top 2 do have a clear advantage over the rest.
Yeah, they do. 4 times back to LeMay. I think from LeMay's point of view, he wants to stay as close to Edwards as he can. He needs to use Edwards as much as possible to pull him forward, to keep him away from Busson, because Busson is closing 2 tenths as well. There's a 1.3 back to George Gonzaga there as well, with Jamie Bird 1 second back from that, and obviously Paul Godden in the mix as well. So, Paul Clark there with James Child. Child looked like he got incredibly close, coming around the left-hander there. And he managed to not make contact, which was good, but we're going to be starting again. And now we've got Paul LeMay losing a little bit more time to Simon Edwards. And Edwards has lost a chunk of time to John McCutcheon.
Yeah, and that's all a little bit bizarre. Now with a more than a second advantage, does McCutcheon have the advantage enough to get away from Edwards here and run away with this race win without challenge in the end? He'll have the 3 drivers behind him as well, of LeMay, Busson and De La Cruz, who's putting in a really good opening performance as well. But Edwards clearly does have a little bit of pace here. You can see him extending the gap up towards Tetrouge now. They'll go through this really important right-hander, making sure you don't get off the circuit and get a slowdown, because it will hurt you all the way up the Mulsanne. It does seem that Edward McCutcheon has done that. As he's tried to get away, he's pushed too hard. He's got to slow down and he's dropping to 5th.
Oh, John. His only hope now is Paul LeMay gives Edwards a little bit of grief here. Paul Clark trying to break Jamie Bird. But for McCutcheon, that could be absolutely awful. He did the one thing that he really didn't need to do. He got a slow down and that is it. It's killed him. He's 1.1 back from from De La Cruz. He knows that Edwards going to be weaving all over the track. I'm not sure why Paul LeMay isn't going with him, to be honest. I was quite confused. I thought we might have seen that snake that we've seen so many times. Now Busson sets on. He's had enough. He's got to go and try and help McCutcheon out as much as possible here. I'm sure from Busson's point of view, he will try and help out. If he can, if he gets in that situation, he's going to have a good old go at it as well. But for McCutcheon, that was a mistake that did not mean to be made.
It's certainly didn't, and now he's lost the draft of the front four. It's going to be really, really difficult for him unless LeMay and Bousson can give Edwards a really hard time. Although thinking about their own race, it's not particularly intelligent to do that right now. LeMay might be going for it anyway here. I think he's very close. He's looking towards the outside but won't do it. Edwards can break really late in towards Mulsanne as well, which is a big advantage to him. And now he's got the opportunity to get away from the rest. McCutcheon will get back into the slipstream again with that little bit of performance under braking. But Edwards is still at the front, and that's really not going to be helpful. We are going to get a first view, though, as to just how easy it is to overtake around here, if it does at all. Because so far we haven't seen too much battling at the front, as you'd expect. But now with McCutcheon where he is, he has to start battling with people.
He's got to start going now. Clark and also Child here, battling it out side by side. Clark's gone through again. They have swapped backwards and forwards, mind you. It was Clark, Child past Clark, Clark past Child, and now they've just got through here as well. So the front guys are moving up. McCutcheon is back onto the back where he needs to be. He's now just got to pick them up one by one. It's almost like they need to split Dela Cruz. If Dela Cruz goes to the right, it's almost like Bousson and McCutcheon need to go to the left to try and pull him along a little bit. Give him a little bit of a boost. Use him as much as he possibly can to try and help him. You know, from Dela Cruz's point of view, he's got onto the back. McCutcheon's got onto the back of Dela Cruz. He's now got to get past him. There's not a shadow of a doubt. He needs to clear him and he needs to go forward. As long as he can still see the pink and purple of Simon Edwards at the front, he's still in with a shot. He's got 2 laps to have a go, and that's it. So he's got to start making these overtakes soon.
Absolutely, given that Edwards can't lose more than 18 points in today's race, that means that with the 11-point advantage he currently has, McCutcheon can't lose 8 or more in this race, otherwise it will be over before it's even really begun. And with this situation, he would be losing the championship right now. If Edwards were to win and McCutcheon finishes 5th, then it would be over. But a top 4 and McCutcheon keeps it alive, albeit a very, very long prospect at this stage in the season. Up towards the first corners they'll go right now. It's very close between the top 4, at 5 even, and they're getting away from the rest. Clark, Child and Gonzaga are battling further back, and it's a little bit chaos, a bit further back to be quite honest. But at the front, Edwards, LeMay, Bousson, Dela Cruz and McCutcheon, the top 5. McCutcheon here, you can see, is applying a lot of pressure, but the demons of last lap will be haunting him here. He's got to make sure he doesn't do that again. He stays within the track limits on this occasion, and now he'll have the opportunity to overtake.
Yeah, he's got to go for it this time around. He's got to go for it. Clark and Child still battling it out further back as well. Behind that, though, there is another little battle recurring from Glover, Taylor and Godden. They're still going at each other once more as well. Paul Clark's on the left-hand side here, and again has gone past James Child. There he goes. He's on the right. They're neck and neck currently on this rundown. Clark should possibly, depends on how late on the brakes Child's gone through. Child goes late and Clark cannot make it through here, so unfortunately for him he's going to have to go again. Martinez has got the Scotsman. He is coming now. He's got to go. He needs Bousson to pull out and help him or give him something as much as he possibly can. It's so vitally important now that he gets past Dela Cruz right now. He needs to do that now. I don't think Bousson's going to be much of a fight for him. I think LeMay's going to be a different prospect. He might be able to, he's got to, there's going to be some fight in LeMay, but whether or not LeMay really does nestle down, I don't think Bousson will. I think Bousson knows the kind of importance of this scenario they're in at the moment.
I do wonder, because we've seen in the past that obviously they don't have any team orders, they don't particularly help each other in races, but what about in a situation like this? We'll have to wait and see very soon. Now Simon Edwards is coming under a bit more pressure. LeMay to the outside, in towards Mulsanne, but Edwards is so late on the brakes again. He'll hold the lead in towards Mulsanne corner, and it will be the exit for Bousson very nearly. McCutcheon will have a good one as well. Edwards will begin to weave on the run up towards Indianapolis now, and he'll break the slipstream. This is what he'll do on the last lap. McCutcheon's got to the inside of his teammate now. As you say, not a real difficulty for Bousson to pull out the way there. LeMay is coming up on Edwards now. The gloves are off. The fighting has begun, and this race is alive and kicking at Le Mans at the moment. LeMay goes to the outside of Edwards, in towards Indianapolis. He won't go through. McCutcheon will go through, though. Outside line in towards the bank turn. It's a fantastic move. Bousson tries to follow through. He can't quite do it, but the championship contenders are back together again.
Yeah, Bousson. Oh, McCutcheon's locked up. He's lost time. McHutchinson lost about a 1/10.5 over Edwards there as he coming out of Arnage, and he goes to spin up. The car goes to get a little bit loose on him, and now he's under pressure from once more from LeMay. Buisson did lose the place to De La Cruz and has now got it back once more, but it's down now for McHutchinson to do here as well. It's going to come down to the final lap here this evening as well, and it is Edwards, it is McHutchinson. It's still going to be mathematically possible, but for McHutchinson, he kind of really needs to take the win on this one.
He does. He needs to gain points, really, in my mind, before the final round, although it could be all bets off at the very final race. This championship is by no means over, and especially if McHutchinson were to be able to go through and win this race. Board chicanes for the penultimate time. Edwards with a bit of a disrupted line into the final part of that chicane, actually, and he knows it immediately. He pulls out there to the inside line. Behind, it's all kinds of chaos. LeMay has got to slow down. He will surely be resigned to 5th place at the end of this one. It's the fastest lap of the race so far for McHutchinson, but is he close enough to get through on this lap?
Well, it's 4 attempts. The draft is so strong, it pulls him straight away to the back of him, and he pulls in at least 2 or 3 attempts down each section here of the Mulsanne. So it's going to be an interesting one. We'll keep an eye on what he's going to be able to do. Gonzaga and Clark are still going at it. The gloves have been off for these two and have been nothing but fighting, with Gonzaga trying to go around the outside. He doesn't make it through this time around through the S's. He's going up through Tetra Rouge now. He's going to have a go as well. So it's going to be an interesting one. McHutchinson now has got to, here we go. Here's the draft on the first sector. He needs about 2 attempts before he gets to the next chicane. He needs it as much as possible. He's not following Edwards across the road. Edwards is adding more mileage to his car by going left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right all the time. McHutchinson just stayed straight. Paul Godden has had an incident. We're not going to be able to look back at that one at the moment, but here we go into the second part, and this is where it's all going to go now. He needs to get him down, if he can, into that chicane and make it as difficult as possible out of this second turn 12 and 13 down into Mulsanne corner.
When does he decide to make this move, John McHutchinson? He knows he needs to at some point, but when is it too early to make? Through the middle of the road goes Edwards. McHutchinson decides to wait for now. I wonder whether it will be Mulsanne corner or will it be Indianapolis? Will it even be the Porsche curves on this final lap? Because there is a case at Le Mans where you get through too early and you give the opportunity for your opponent to come back at you, as we're about to see in this fight for 4.
Oh, contact LeMay. Paul Clark is mixing out with Gonzaga now, but it is all about where these guys are going to go on the final lap of the race. Edwards is weaving. McHutchinson's just staying straight. He's not following him across the track, which I'm quite surprised about. He isn't. But he's not going to make it this time into Porsche curves. He's going to look for the exit, I think, and try and get him down into Indianapolis.
Let's see if the exit's good enough. They've both absolutely committed through there, through Mulsanne corner, but McHutchinson has got a good run. Edwards decides not to weave around. He's not as close as he could be, though, is McHutchinson, but it might not be of any importance, really. Here he comes now. There's no joking about this one. He pulls to the outside line here on the very last lap, and he will go through, surely. Edwards might not even be able to do anything about this. Outside line for McHutchinson in towards the bank turns. Edwards comes back in. They'll be side by side, the 2 championship rivals on the very last day. Oh, it's a big move from McHutchinson. He slides up in front of Edwards. He takes the place, and has he just taken a race win here? It's through Arnage, and he might just have the gap to go home with this one.
Oh, he sent it in deep. He knew he had to go in. He didn't give Edwards any time to even try and cover him off once he got on that outside line. He sent him up the inside. He got him in deep. Edwards had no choice but to go a little bit further out on the outside, and now McHutchinson has got it. He's just got to stay clean through this final section, through Corvette, through into Ford, and he's going to take the victory, and it's going to be very much alive for this next race, and it's going to be how they all manage the traffic now. Don't forget, McHutchinson's going to be in 10th. Edwards is going to be in 9th. Buisson's going to play a massive part in this, sitting in front of these two as well. It's going to be an exciting one. It's going to be an interesting one to see what happens in race 2, but I got a funny feeling it's going to be all McHutchinson unless any dramas happen going across this final chicane.
Edwards gets very close, but it's John McCutcheon who wins the first race at Le Mans and just chips away at that championship margin. He does all he can do in this championship race with Edwards right behind him. Mike Boutsen will play an important role in race 2 with Sergio De La Cruz and Paul LeMay, rounding out the top 5. What a fantastic battle between those guys, but this reverse grid is going to be exceptionally exciting as we're going to find out what happened to George Gonzaga here on the very last lap. I think he's had a spin on the very last lap here. Oh dear. Oh my goodness, he's gone into pit lane by entering via the pit straight. I've never seen that in my life.
Well, this is on board. Yeah, if you've got vertigo, I might not want to watch this because he goes up in the air in a minute. Oh, there he goes.
Oh.
Up, over,
bang.
And he's in pit lane. Oh, my blimey.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
And he's in, well, there you go. That's an easy way to get to your pit box.
But to be honest, most of the unbelievable moments in that race were between the leaders, but that was probably the most unbelievable of them at the very end there with the volleyball shot into pit lane from George Gonzaga. And I've no idea where he's finished at the end there either. So we'll have to work out on that because that will be an interesting one for and he's missed out as well. He's 13th. We'll get to him in a moment. It's McCutcheon and Edwards who came over the line absolutely together. They'll be the ones to watch from row 5 in Heat 2. It will be Mike Boutsen, Sergio De La Cruz and Paul LeMay coming over the line top 5. They all fought it out throughout the race, as we saw. James Chow got up to 6th out of Paul Crabb, who recovered from his spin well to 7th. Robert Woodward, Paul Clark and Phil Glover will round out the reverse grid drivers. Jamie Bird just misses out from the back with Paul Godden 12th. Then it will be George Gonzaga, who unfortunately got volleyed into the pit lane. Then it was Darrell Taylor and Michael LeMay at the end there. That's especially disappointing for Gonzaga because he would have been top half for this second race, but now he's going to have to do a lot of work from the back.
Yeah, it definitely will be. I think should we have a quick chat with Phil Glover before we go into race 2 there, Ewan?
Yes, let's. Phil, welcome to the booth. Good to have you here at Le Mans. And you'll be starting on pole for the second race. How you feeling about that?
Am I? I thought it was 12th.
Well,
no.
On our results, we just got you down in 10th.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I'll try and hang on to it to the first corner at least.
I can't think who's dropped below you. I'd imagine George Gonzaga did. Because I don't know if you saw, but he got absolutely... I can't even think of a word to describe it, but he ended up in the pit lane despite starting the home straight, coming through the final corner, if you see what I mean. Yeah, it's undescribable. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. How are you enjoying your time at Le Mans anyway?
Yeah, it's very, very fast, isn't it? I mean, I'm about 4 seconds off the other guys, which I suppose, given how long the track is, that's not too bad. But yeah, it's good fun.
It's about 2 or 3 times as long. I guess you can factor in these gaps to a normal circuit, I suppose. We'll let you go now, Phil, and prepare for this second race where we believe you're starting on pole. So good luck.
Yeah, hopefully I've sorted my clutch out.
Let's hope so. Thanks very much, Phil Glover there.
Yes, bye.
Hopefully on the front row for this second race. We're about to find out whether we are correct indeed, because Heath believes that he ended that race in 12th. He will indeed be starting from pole with Paul Clark. Robert Woodward and Paul Crabb will be on the second row, and Paul Crabb is going to be one to watch in this race. James Child and Paul LeMay will be on row 3 with Sergio De La Cruz and Mike Boutsen. Simon Edwards and John McCutcheon from row 5. The championship contenders in there. Jamie Byrne, Paul Goddard, followed by George Gonzaga, Darrell Taylor and Michael LeMay, the 15 drivers. Very much looking forward to this one, James. The final race of the Radical Race Series season, and there's a championship on the line again.
Yeah, there definitely is coming into the final one. My fear is the repeats of last season when Clark and McCutcheon, they've got to do it again. But let's hope it doesn't affect it. But there's the lights.
Here we go then, for the final time in the Radical Race Series for Season 2 of 2023. We are underway at Le Mans. It's Phil Glover from the front, but a great start from Robert Woodward through the middle. Paul Clark can't do anything about that from the inside either, as Paul Crabb tries to come up on these guys as well, up towards the inside. The championship contenders are really squashed in the middle of this. It's Simon Edwards with the better start as they go up towards the first chicane. Clark and Woodward have gone. Edwards is involved in it. He's definitely had contact. And McCutcheon's gotten through a little cleaner. He's up to 4th place already on the back of Phil Glover, who started this race in first. Simon Edwards may have damage on the front end.
Oh, he's got a lot of it. He got a lot of damage there as well, with Paul Clark and Daryl Taylor having that coming together. McHutchinson is making moves now. He's clearing them one at a time. He's just about to clear James Child, and on the back of that is Phil Glover sitting in second place at the moment. But look at Edwards' car. It's beat. He's beat up, he's smashed up, and he's lost a chunk of time. I think he's going to be losing even more here at a very draft speed heavy circuit, and he just hasn't got it at the moment. You've got McHutchinson doing 166, Edwards doing 161. He's losing 5 miles an hour over these boys, with Paul Crabb might boost on behind him as well. It's possible Edwards could finish dead last here if everybody else uses this draft to catch up to him.
Well, Robert Woodward's not going to finish in front of him, unfortunately, because here's a retirement after the opening lap. It was contact between himself and Paul Clark in towards turn 1 that started this all off. Let's have a look at it. It's side by side between these two in towards turn 1, and Paul Clark, I'm afraid, doesn't give the space to Robert Woodward in my mind. It's unfortunate for Crabb and Edwards in particular, who got caught up in that one, but in my mind, Paul Clark simply didn't give enough space on the inside of turn 1.
Edwards is losing places. He's losing places. He's lost to LeMay. He lost to Clark. I've got a funny feeling he could even lose to Taylor and Godden here, and he could end up all the way down in no further than about 13th. Bousson looks like he's carrying damage at the same time. I don't think he's hitting top speed either, so it could be a fight between Bousson and Edwards at the back of the field here. But it is Bird and Child. They're 3 wide going down now. This one's going to be exciting here as well, running down into Imolsane they go, and it is Child with Bird, then Child, then Gonzaga, and Edwards has gone down. He's even lost a place to Paul Daryl Taylor, so unfortunately he's going down further here as well. It's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a difficult one. It's going to be interesting to see where the points end up after this.
It certainly is, with the position that John McHutchinson is currently in. Simon Edwards needs to be in 4th. That doesn't look like it's going to happen at the moment by any means. It's nearly 3 wide for 4th place, incidentally, with James Child, Jamie Bird and George Gonzaga, who's already up 7 places on one of the most chaotic opening laps we've had all season, and it comes at the very, very end. In towards Arnars they come now. What drama we've seen here, but what a disappointment it must be for Simon Edwards right now, knowing there's very little he can do. He might even be considering a pit stop at the end of this lap.
Yeah, he's losing 6 miles an hour or 5 miles an hour between these guys. He's not even getting up to 160 at the moment either. He's on 155. Paul Godden is going 162. He's pulling in 7 miles an hour quicker than Simon Edwards here, and unfortunately it looks like Edwards could be further down behind Paul Godden by the end of this lap, if not by the beginning of the next one. He is losing a chunk of time. That damage is really affecting him. All he can do now is hope that there's incidents further up, as Daryl Taylor and Paul LeMay. LeMay's trying to squeeze through on the inside here. Is he going to make this work as well? He's not currently at the moment, but Paul Clark was at the front of that and he started it all off, and then it was just chaos after that with Daryl Taylor involved, Paul Crabb, Robert Woodward, and unfortunately for Edwards, he went into the side of it. He had nowhere to go, and now he's struggling as well. So it's unfortunate for Edwards currently at the moment. From John McHutchinson's point of view, 2.2 seconds back to Phil Glover, with McHutchinson chasing down Sergio De La Cruz currently at the moment. But it is all going wrong for what was going to be the 6th-time champion. Is now, I've got this funny feeling he could be still on 5.
Yep, I think so. John McHutchinson is very close to a race lead, even with Sergio De La Cruz just up in front of him as well. It's very, very close between them. Battle for 3rd place is going on at the moment, with Phil Glover just at the front of the train and everybody else following on behind. There's Glover at the front. It's Child, Bird, Gonzaga, LeMay, Taylor, Clark, the other LeMay, Edwards and Godden, and Bousson as well, all involved. Paul Crabb's probably going to catch up. It's a fantastic battle as they're side by side for the lead, incidentally. John McHutchinson's going through. He's going into the lead, and surely he's going into championship winning position as well. Down the inside he goes into the first chicane. There's no point wasting any time. He goes to the front, and surely this is now in his hands.
Yeah, Godden's got Edwards. Edwards is further down in 12th now. He didn't go into the pits. He decided to stay out. And I don't know if that was a good idea or if it was a bad idea, but unfortunately for him, it's left him 5 miles an hour. You can see it here. By the time he even gets up to 160, 155, Paul Godden is already in front on 159. He's losing time here as well with that damage, so it's going to be an interesting one. Phil Glover's under attack now by Jamie Bird, with James Child behind him as well, as they're going into 12 and 13 on the run down into Mulsanne corner. But it is McHutchinson out in front with Sergio De La Cruz sitting behind him here at the moment. From McHutchinson's point of view, I think he's going to be sitting in that car saying, please don't do anything silly here, because he doesn't. He's going to want to take that win, but where Edwards is at the moment, is it really as an essential situation that he's going to put himself in a horrible position? That's going to be the problem.
Absolutely, it's side by side in towards Mulsanne corner, as you can see for those further behind. But with 12th place at the moment, John McHutchison still needs to be inside the top 4. And with a crash, with a mistake, that will be very, very easy to lose in this group at the moment. So he won't be taking any risk at all. He knows that a first or second will be good enough. And so he's going side by side now with Sergio De La Cruz. De La Cruz trying to take the position away from McHutchinson in the very way that the driver alongside him did take that lead in the first one. Side by side they'll go in towards the back corner. It's the high line from John McHutchinson, and he takes the lead once again. De La Cruz has to fall in behind, and surely now McHutchinson will be able to run away with this, because we can't forget his pace in qualifying, as Jamie Bird fires down the inside too much in towards Arnott, and he drops way back.
Yeah, he goes all the way down the order. I don't think it's going to be very hard for him to be able to clear Edwards. You can see Edwards has got damage on the front and damage on the back, that V shape of that radical, and I think Bird should be able to get that one back as well. But Gonzaga and McHutchinson still close together. Child is just trying to get clear past Gonzaga at the moment, running around the outside. He has made that position stick as well. LeMay's trying to have a go at the same time here. Gonzaga runs a very wide line, leaves the door open to LeMay. LeMay manages to basically avoid that and stay where he is. McHutchinson 6/10 currently out in front at the moment, and it looks like, could it all be done? Could it all be done by the end of this race?
Well, I guess all of it's going to be done at the end of this race. It's a title decider, I suppose, but yeah.
Well, yeah, all right. Yeah, all right. I'll give you that one. That's fair enough.
That's an observation. Oh dear, George Gardega's gone way off there, I'm afraid, at Ford chicanes, goes over the tarmac, and surely he'll have a slow down now. He'll pull right to the inside to make sure he doesn't get in anyone else's way, and he's back with Clark again, who did hit him at the end of that race. Oh, well, Gonzaga slowed down on the racing line, to be fair, so Clark didn't have much choice, as it's side by side now between himself and LeMay, Michael LeMay that is, just behind Paul. He goes to the outside, but way too deep, and Clark loses it now as well. Oh dear, and Simon Edwards' day goes from bad to worse. He makes more contact, now down to 10th place, but even a little bit more damage to add on top.
Yeah, his car's going to end up, he's losing bits of this SR8 all over the track currently at the moment. Paul Clark is, well, I'm not sure. I think Clark's having a bit of a bad one currently at the moment. If we're ever going to see a bad race from him, this is definitely it at the moment. Turn 1's incident didn't leave the door open. Robert Woodward sent it out the inside, and he closed down on him. Then he spins, and now he's just made contact again with Simon Edwards. I think he's going to get past him, but I don't think it's going to be, there's not going to be a wave on the way through, let's just put it that way, and I don't think it's going to be on Edwards' Christmas card list.
Oh, that was late on the brakes from Phil Glover as he tried to hold on to 4th place. Gonzaga goes down the inside of Taylor as well, so that's another place for him. And there goes Clark on Edwards in towards the first chicane for another position. It's so heartbreaking though for Simon Edwards, really. It's such a helpless feeling, because around a circuit like this you need the straight line speed as much as possible. He's gaining in the corners on all of these guys, and he probably have the pace to maybe be where he needs to at this stage, but with the straight line speed the way it is, he just can't get there. It's 3 wide very nearly in towards the second chicane here as James Child tries to go through. Glover goes a bit too deep there, and Paul LeMay should be able to get through on the exit maybe. They make a bit of contact, and they're still close out the corner.
Looks like Edwards has lost a place to Crab as well, and he's going to lose that place to Bird. The terminology of his frog and a horse here, I think that's the problem. He's losing so much speed currently at the moment. He's just getting eaten on the line. Jamie Bird is now going to go and have him as well. And it's such a shame for Edwards there, caught up in that turn 1 incident with Clark and Woodward and Taylor, and unfortunately now it's really affected his car. His car's just losing pace left, right and centre here all at the same time, and Edwards is just going backwards faster than he's going forwards. McHutchinson and Dela Cruz are still fighting out at the front. Dela Cruz is keeping McHutchinson honest, but not wanting to get involved. I don't think there's going to be any crazy dives from Dela Cruz. I think he would not want to risk the wrath of the Scotsman, shall we say, here as well. And it's just, yeah, I think that battle is going to be McHutchinson will just take that one. Child and Glover obviously still battling away with Paul LeMay, and Gonzaga has got Taylor and Godden and Michael LeMay behind him as well. So there's a couple of pockets of battles as Paul goes in deep and spins it round in a circle.
And everybody's going to get through. Thankfully, they weren't going side by side at that moment, because it would have been a calamity if so. Edwards will even gain another place as a result as well. But I think in terms of Sergio Dela Cruz, actually, in an ethical way, he's actually got an opportunity to blackmail McHutchinson almost into giving him the race win here, because if he's as aggressive as is ethically possible and morally possible, I suppose, McHutchinson might just think, with Edwards so far down, you know, I don't want any of this. This is not what I need to be involved in right now. I'm going to hand over the race win, and I know he generally never do that. We know how much he wants to win each and every race that he takes a part of. But in this situation, with a championship on the line, and considering he hasn't won a title since this time 2 years ago, Sergio Dela Cruz's aggression that he might be able to produce might be enough to convince McHutchinson to just hand that one over.
Yeah, Clark and Crabb side by side. Clark going across there. LeMay has cleared Edwards once more. Not sure. Oh, Crabb getting all out of shape going around the final chicane. He manages to hold on, stays in front of Edwards. Where is Bousson? Well, Bousson's a long way back. He's not really going to affect a lot at the moment, being that far away. But however, Crabb and Edwards could, but I don't think Edwards got the... well, we know he hasn't got the straight line speed to even compete with Paul Crabb. If Paul Crabb is up to full speed, Edwards is just going to lose places, and even with the draft, he ain't going to be able to stay with him, unfortunately for him as well. With these two cars in front, you can see the gap he's lost already. He's out at 4 tenths. He's losing more here as well, and it's just a sorry sight to see a 5-time champion drive a car that clearly has got damage and clearly hasn't got any oomph to it whatsoever.
If there's anyone he's going to catch on straight line speed, it will be Paul Crabb, because he was caught up in the same incident, let's not forget, but by no means to the same degree, as you can see visually from the damage. So they'll get away, they'll get out the slipstream, and Simon Edwards will be consigned to a lonely race. But the only hope he's got to hold out here in a very dark tunnel is the fact that McHutchinson would only win the title if he's in the top 4. And that's still a very good result and a difficult one to achieve. Now, I know the gap is about 15 seconds back now to Darrell Taylor, who would need to overtake McHutchinson at this stage. But, you know, it's not a huge mistake out of the realms of possibility here for McHutchinson to lose it all, because he still needs a pretty good finishing position.
Yeah, I think we're hopeful of a situation here, because I don't think that situation is going to happen. I don't think McHutchinson will put himself in. I think once he's got out in front, he's out in front. As we can see, Gonzaga under attack from Michael LeMay. Darrell Taylor in front of him as well. Michael LeMay has gone through. Gonzaga's come back. They're side by side. They've gone again. Crabb and Clark have stayed where they are. And you can just see the pace difference. Look how much Edwards has lost. He's lost 3.5 seconds down the 2 straights of the Mulsanne, and is just... it's just not good. I don't know if maybe taking a pit stop might have been best for him to even consider going for it again here and try once more. But Michael LeMay is having another battle here with Jamie Bird. Bird's got up the inside of him and Gonzaga and has taken 2 for 1.
Absolutely. I did miscalculate a little bit, actually. McHutchinson still needs a top 2 here to take this title. If he were to lose to second place, he would still take it by 2 points, but if he were to drop to third, he would lose out by 2 points. So in the situation currently, he needs to stay inside the top 2, exactly where he is at the moment, and that really does make his life very, very difficult indeed. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard to know if anything that Simon Edwards done differently in this race would have made any difference, especially after the contact. It's hard to predict that lap 1 kind of contact that there was, so we can't be too harsh on him at all for any of that. And I don't think you know, we could be too harsh on him for not pitting, or if he decided to pit, I don't think we could be too harsh in that situation either, because I don't think there's a right answer to this at the moment. If he pits, of course, he's going to lose about half a minute. He'll be way behind these guys, but with a fast car, the way he is right now, he's with these guys, but with a slow car, and I don't think either of those positions makes any difference in the situation he's currently in.
Yeah, he's 4.7 seconds back from Crab. Crab's obviously chasing down Clark here. We know how hard it is to clear Paul Clark at the best of times, let alone when they're racing for position. So it's always going to be a tough one. 16.5 minutes remaining. They've got about 3 laps here left to go of this racetrack, so it's going to be an interesting one. But this is Clark and Crab. Then we've got Godden, LeMay and Gonzaga and Bird, and then Taylor as well in front. He's battling away, trying to get out of the slipstream of Jamie Bird. McCutcheons has just done the fastest lap of the race, a 3:48.36. So it's currently absolutely flying out the front there as well, and it is tough, because I suppose from our point of view, at the time when Edwards, he had to go a whole lap with this problem. By the end of the first lap, he was still involved in it. Could he have pitted and lost less time at the end of turn 1? You know, we don't know what that situation would have come out like, whether or not he would have made any blind bit of difference to him whatsoever. But sitting in a car that's got 6 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour slower than everybody else is just not ideal. And Busson's had another incident all on his own here as well. Mike Busson is not having a good time in race 2, so I've got a funny feeling he's going to hit a curb here. Yes.
Just out of control from the very start, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it just generally came to a head at the end there. But he's just pushing as hard as he can now. There's might be something he can learn from doing that. So why not, really, in that situation? Because the battles are up here, really, from Phil Glover right the way down to these guys back at Paul Clark, even in P12. Down the inside here goes Paul Crab on Paul Godden into the first chicane. Just Crab recovering from the opening incidents as well, of course, in this race. Got caught out with the same one that Edwards got caught up in, when Robert Woodward, got spun around in front of the field and was just collected by the oncoming pack, which you'd expect when the top 2 make contact in towards turn number 1. But as you say, I'm not convinced that anything that could have happened after turn 1 here would have made the blindest bit of difference at the moment. It's just very, very unlucky for Simon Edwards. George Gonzaga holds on to that position for the moment. That's just ahead of Michael LeMay, who's about to battle with his brother Paul LeMay, which is about to give us some real headaches here, because they don't even look that dissimilar in terms of livery.
No, you have to go by the helmet. You're going to have to go by the helmet, unfortunately, I'm afraid, on that one, because Paul's got the green down the middle, Michael's just got the blue, so we'll go by helmet colour there as well. And obviously the red of Paul on the right to the blue of Michael. Do you see the difference? That's it. That's
I can see the blue on the sort of very side pods of Paul's car, whereas the blue is sort of more central on Michael's.
Yeah.
It's not an especially noticeable difference, which is not particularly ideal. Paul LeMay does seem to be a little bit quicker, though. The qualifying pace reflected that a little bit, and so has the season, really. So expect to see that pass be done soon. Phil Glover is still hanging on really well here in 4th place. Gonzaga now goes round the outside for the inside at Indianapolis. He can't get through, neither can Jamie Bird. Glover's been holding on really well, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to be a podium for him in this race.
No, Paul did clear Michael there as Bird and Taylor go side by side through Arnage on that run now into the Porsche curbs. So it is Bird still tucked up behind Taylor currently at the moment, and he's trying to get through here. McCutcheonson's opened up out of the draft. He's 1.7 seconds ahead. So from him, it's just about keeping the car on track. That's literally it at the moment, and all he needs to do is just keep it there, and I think he'll take this. I've got a funny feeling as well. Taylor's chasing down Bird. Then we've got Gonzaga is chasing down both of them. Paul LeMay has mixed it up with Michael LeMay there as well. So his brother's behind him currently at the moment, and it's whether or not they're going to fight out Family Feud. You can imagine that over Christmas dinner if they take each other out. That'd be an interesting one here as well. But at the moment, he's got a bird's eye view for what's going on in front of him.
And it does involve Jamie Bird as well. Glover and Bird side by side. Glover had to go off the road there. Bird completely off now. And Glover's been off as well. What has gone on here? Side by side between the two. It was briefly. Now Glover drops back. Gonzaga is up ahead of Taylor. They're all changing positions. Paul LeMay benefits as well. It was side by side between the two. How on earth has that happened?
If you watch forward, there's contact. Glover bounces the curb and then hits into Jamie Bird there, unfortunately. So that's how Bird ends up in that position.
then Glover fires into the final chicane, distracted certainly by the incident that he's just had, and loses a load of places as well. That's a difficult one there, because Bird, in my opinion, didn't give Glover quite enough room there through the first part of that chicane, and so Glover's stuck on the inside. There's not a whole lot he can do really in that situation. So yeah, I don't know if that's anything more than a racing incident, really.
Yeah, you see from Glover's car, he has got damage on the front of it. He's another man as well. Hopefully it's not affected him. 158, 159. If he can get 160, he's definitely going faster than Simon Edwards anyway. So he's doing 163 at the moment, with Crab doing 162, 63. So he's not, hasn't affected his times. You see up front, Paul LeMay has made that move past Gonzaga. Taylor as well lost the positions in that one. He's up 8, mind you, is Darrell Taylor, but currently sitting down in 6th overall, battling away with Gonzaga. It's a nice little battle this in this little mid-pack, especially with McHutchinson out in front.
It's been very entertaining. Neither of the championship contenders involved, and so given it's the last race of the season, there's a last day of school feel about this battle, because it's just chaos. Gonzaga now is trying to get through on Taylor and LeMay all at once through the middle here. I think we're 3 wide possibly, in towards, maybe not actually. Gonzaga goes around the outside of Taylor, and that's all that it was, in a big LeMay sandwich with double filling at the moment, which is looking pretty tasty. But Paul LeMay is at the front and might well start to drive away now. For all of the fantastic battling we've seen now over the last 5.5, 6 laps in this group, I think it's now finally dispersing, and Le Mans is finally going to just quieten down. But it doesn't seem that that's too eagerly the case here. Gonzaga and Taylor still very close behind. Battle for 4th place still very much on, and LeMay went pretty wide into Mulsanne corner there as well.
Yeah, he made a mistake there. Gonzaga's now tucked up right behind him, is 1/10 back at the moment on that run down into Indianapolis they go. Is this going to be Gonzaga's move? Is he going to run him around the outside? It's a brave man if he tries it, but he's going to hopefully have that inside line. He is going to try it. Darrell Taylor's going to... Oh, I thought Taylor was going to send it 3 wide there, unlike Clark and that behind him, who are going near enough 3 wide, with Clark, Glover and Crab in there as well. Crab's now going to try it. Oh, he gets past Glover, but doesn't clear Clark this time around, as Gonzaga and LeMay are still going at it here on lap 6.
They are. It's fantastic battling, and this is why Le Mans is so fantastic for a championship finale for any point in the season. It is just great battling from start to finish. Gonzaga very close to LeMay again, in towards the Porsche curves. Excuse me, this time on the outside, on the way in. It's a long way round though, even though you do get the inside for the next 2 corners. It's just too difficult of a task. Crab goes through on Paul Clark, who's off the road in towards the Porsche curves, and he's gone way off into the gravel as well. He'll get back on in 11th place, and that'll be all fine. But you can be sure there was contact between them. Oh, that's a difficult one to call there, because it's when you make contact at that sort of speed, the consequences are bound to be high.
Yeah, definitely such a tough one to call on that one, because Clark will come in. I don't know.
I'm sure Crab could have been any further to the inside, really. So I think it's a very simple. It's not quite as obvious as the one into turn 1, but I think again Clark has turned in a bit too early there. Yeah,
I think he's got to ease up on his turn-ins. He's leaving a big old the V vortex of terror there going into the corners, and I think that's what's causing him a problem, because he takes that natural wide berth in to try and open it up, and unfortunately leaves the door open, which puts the person behind with so much confusion that they're going to go for it, but then he turns in, and it's a difficult one. Not an ideal line. He's done it for most of the season, to be honest, and he's done that wide in berth into the corner, and it's always difficult because it does almost perceive that he's leaving the door open, so others make that dive up the inside and he comes across on it. So it's yeah, difficult one, probably not ideal scenario, and not a way to be taking the corners here, Ewan, but that's how it is, and I think Gonzaga's got to slow down here.
Yeah. He's doing all right. Actually.
He lost a place, didn't he, to LeMay?
Maybe. I just feel like he didn't lose quite enough time for that to be the case, but it could be. It's hard to tell from here. Obviously, don't get the notification for that. Final lap, though, as you say, and this is the real only group we have remaining. 7 laps, pretty much the perfect feet to length for the end of this season now, because pretty much at the end of the allocated laps, we are starting to see the battles just wind down a little bit as this season comes to a close as well. But Hutchinson has more than 20 seconds over the positions that he needs to clinch this title. As long as James Child doesn't get it past him on this last lap, he will be champion.
Yeah, I can't see that happening. I think Hutchinson has gone out, he's battled and he's done what he needs to do. Mike Bousson's called it a day. That's partly because he did this here for Bousson at that corner again. Yeah, I think a day could be done here, sir. I think he does another one straight after and just calls it a day. He's had enough. There's Mike. So there we go. Job done for him for the season.
Fair enough as well. 14th place in the day. And still, just a quick word on Mike Bousson. 3rd place in the championship is still a very respectable finish.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he was unfortunate again. It's really hard because obviously, as much as we love Mike and we love what he stands for, and we wish to see him winning, it's just not. I mean, it's just another season without a win. So, yeah, tough for him here as well as Gonzaga, Taylor and LeMay. Oh, still battling out down to the final few corners. Through Indianapolis they go. And they are still battling, but it is. I'm keeping an eye on McHutchison. Oh.
Look at that. Down the inside. Oh, and there's contact now. LeMay goes around. Gonzaga knows that he's made a mistake, and his brother, Michael LeMay, is going to go through everyone here. Well, LeMay's going to wait for an ideal opportunity to get back. Oh, and Clark goes up and over. That's the end of Clark's race. He'll be disqualified. And Edwards will gain about 3 places here, I think, at the very end, but it won't matter. This is what all happened into our Nos. Clark made his own mistake. He gets hit, and I think he's been disqualified for incident limit there. But either way, coming through the final couple of corners is John McHutchinson to do the double again. And he will be a Radical Race Series champion for the 2nd time. 2 years after his last title, he's done it again. He's broken Simon Edwards' streak, and he is champion once more. Sergio De La Cruz behind, and James Child will round off the podium as well. A fantastic end to the season with drama and twists and turns right to the very end.
Yeah, Edwards can sniff an opportunity. Can he get any positions here from being completely out of all of them to now having an opportunity to be able to get to at least a couple if he can? I don't think he's going to be able to. I don't think he's going to have the pace to get past these guys. He's still trying. Still trying down to the very end here is Edwards. He's praying that maybe Paul LeMay makes a mistake and he doesn't. And Edwards stays where he is in 12th place.
Well, it's such a disappointment for Simon Edwards, who comes over the line having accumulated only 19 points, which means he loses 21 on the day, way more than his 8-point advantage coming into this race. John McHutchinson is a title winner again, winning this race out of Sergio De La Cruz. James Child more than 20 seconds back and nearly half a minute back with Michael LeMay and Darrell Taylor. Paul Crabb regained so many places at the end there to 6th, ahead of Jamie Byrne. Then it was Phil Glover who finished in the top 10 for the 2nd time tonight. George Gonzaga and Paul Godden round out the top 10 with Paul LeMay 11th, Simon Edwards only 12th, Paul Clark, Mike Bousson and Robert Woodward never got to the finish of that race.
Yeah.
Well, we can say that John McHutchinson maybe got a bit fortunate on this last race, and people will say that, but you can't argue against his form in these last few weeks. It's been absolutely unbelievable. In 2 of the last 4 weeks, indeed, he's got the perfect score, winning both race 1 and race 2, which we know is really, really hard to do.
Yeah, definitely. And he come out and he said, unless it's mathematically possible, I'm just going to go and try and win everything. Win every single race he's entered. And he did it. And he managed to keep it. And now he's reaping the rewards. I'm trying to keep an eye on the scores. I'm pretty sure we're right. I don't think we're wrong that he is the champion. But I just want to make entirely sure, that because that was the last thing we want to do is be announcing that somebody's the champion and they're not. But we think we are correct.
Yeah. I've got him winning by 7 points, and we'll see if he agrees with us as well by bringing him in to the booth as well. John McHutchinson, welcome in to the booth. Very pleased to have you here. A race win on 2 occasions here tonight, and a championship win as well. You've become the driver with the biggest gap between 2 titles, by the way, in the Radical Race Series. I don't know whether that records, it doesn't mean anything at all, does it? It's just a thing. How are you feeling after that race?
Well, I have won the championship. Yes.
We certainly believe so. By 7 points in the end. Did you see what happened to Simon Edwards on that race?
Well, I seen chaos in front of me at turns 2 and 3, and I just stayed wide of it. Lucky I get through, so bad luck for Simon, I guess.
And what about that first race as well? Because at the time, you and Simon were battling fantastically over the race win. You obviously had that slowdown, which made your life a lot more difficult than maybe you'd have liked it to have been. But we very much enjoyed the battle that happened after that. Tell us about that move you made in towards Indianapolis there at the end of race 1.
I knew I had to win, and he get a little damage because he was really slow out of one of the tight corners. Or I tapped him on the back and he had a little that bumper damage. So I knew he'd be slow on the straight. But it wasn't that slow, so I just hung it out the outside and said a Hail Mary and went for it.
And you came up with it as well. John, congratulations on the championship and the 2-time wins here today as well at Le Mans. And yeah, thanks very much for chatting to us throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, you're welcome, Ewan. I'd like to give a shout out to Daryl Taylor and the rest of the admin guys, Martina. I'm not sure who else is on it for the season I put up this year. Kudos to them boys for putting on, and a shout out to the you and James for the broadcast all season. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, mate.
Very much.
I'm going to pop in here, John. You know, are you happy, mate? You know, I thought you would have come in cheering at me.
I was cheering over the line. Don't worry.
Okay, but
Died down. It happened a minute ago.
I've calmed down now.
Yeah, exactly. Something tells me it doesn't take much for you to calm down, actually, by the sounds of it, to be fair. But anyway, John, we'll let you go now and enjoy it. Congratulations once again, and thanks for chatting to us.
Okay, thanks again, guys. Cheers.
Thanks very much. John McCutcheon's in there. Champion here today in the Radical Race Series. Yeah,
I thought you would have come in cheering. You know, I thought you might have used the new sound bites in Discord and started playing soundboards at us or something. I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more. Woohoo!
yeah. He's clearly pleased, but just not outwardly so. Let's say at the end of that one. Either way, we'll move forward towards Sergio Martinez now, who joins us now. Sergio, second place here in the second race. Anyway, John getting ahead of you towards the start of that one, but you couldn't quite stay with him for the race win. How good did you think your chances of winning that race were, though, at the start of that one? Because a lot changed going into turn 1 versus going out of it.
Good evening, guys. To be honest, I don't think I had any real chance to win the race, because on race 1, when John, I think he had a slowdown, and I could see that he had more straight speed than me. So I didn't think I had a chance, unless something. The thing I was trying to do was to stay close and then hope for some mistake, slow down, something like that. It was very difficult, I think, for me to win this race. He had more pace in the final sector, so.
We haven't been able to speak to you very much over the course of this season, so I just want to ask you at the end of it all how you found it over the course of this one. Obviously whether you've enjoyed it or not, or whether you're happy with the races that you've been able to put together.
I always enjoyed this championship. It's very nice when you race with the same people every week, and they are very clean. So yeah, I always enjoy this. What was the second part of your question? Sorry.
Just whether you're pleased with how you've driven over the course of the season as well.
Yeah, I think I'm quite pleased with my performance. I'm not training that much during the week, so I try to do the 2 hours practice before the race. So yeah, I got happy with my pace overall.
And yeah, and by the way, I'd imagine you finished 7th in the standings as well, which is a very respectable finish at the end of the season.
Yeah, he did 7th place.
Yeah, there we are. As far as we can work out, which is sometimes shaky, but we believe so. So congratulations on that. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Sergio, before we let you go?
Yeah, I would like to congratulate all the guys in the championship, and it's a pity that we are losing a bit of participation in the final races. But I hope in the next season we will again have 20 or more guys in the grid. So.
Certainly hope so. We look forward to seeing you there as well, Sergio. Congratulations on a nice evening in terms of performance here tonight, and thanks so much for chatting to us.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Sergio Martinez de la Cruz there. Second place in the second race and 7th place in the championship as well. Now, we're going to have to jump around a little bit, up and down the order. We'll go to Paul Crabb next, who was involved in the lap 1 incident in race 2 there and was involved in all kinds of battling afterwards as well. Paul, how did you find that second race at Le Mans and the first one as well, in what was a very topsy-turvy evening for yourself, I've got to say?
It was topsy-turvy. The first race, all my own fault, so no excuses. And was happy to get closer to the front in that one. The second race, I didn't have anywhere to go when the 2 cars in front of me went broadside. I came to a dead stop anyway, and I ended up going down to the back. And I kind of, but after that, I had a very entertaining time climbing my way forward. Lots of people take themselves out and each other out, and I kind of was gifted a number of places. So yeah, it was good fun. I enjoyed the second race.
I think that has consolidated your 4th place in the standings at the end of the season as well, which is another good finish for yourself. How have you found the season overall here with the obviously new move to the SR8 and everything that this season has thrown at you?
Oh, I love the SR8. Yeah, it definitely suits me. I go well in it. I had a pretty good first half to the season, and I've had a couple of mediocre results in the second half, which has knocked me back a bit. But all in all, very happy with it.
And is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to finally before we let you go?
Just to Darryl Taylor and Martina and I think it's Jamie, who are all organising and making sure everything happens. And to you guys for entertaining us all season. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to cover another season of this championship. Thanks very much for being a part of it, Paula. We look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Yep, hope to be back next season.
Absolutely. We hope to see you there. Paul Crabb joining us there after this race at Le Mans this evening. Let's go to Paul Godden as well. I'll save Simon Edwards a little bit. He's been collecting his thoughts over the last few moments. We'll pull in Paul Godden for this moment. Paul, welcome in. Good to have you here as well. I've got to say, it's such a chaotic race in the midfield, of which you were very much a part of in race 2 there. Tell us a little bit about your race.
To be honest, I'm a bit confused and don't really know what's happened on both races, especially that second one. It was I thought I got a good start, and we come around the first corner and the road was completely blocked. So I thought, I'll head to the right. There's no one there, but then everyone else obviously must have been a little bit ahead. Decided to go right as well, and I ended up going further and further right, and then ended up cutting the corner and then getting the slowdowns and ended up back at the pack again. So all the having a good start was didn't really work out in the end. And then after that, I just kept it trying to keep it clean. I was really struggling with straight line speed for some reason. I was just chatting to the guys then to find out what that could be. And then I was just like a sitting duck really. I was just going backwards, and then I did a couple of good battles with a few people that are having a bit of issues. And then the very last lap, all the pools come together in one of the corners, and I don't really know what happened. So Paul Clark spun it in front of me. I then hit him. He then bounced into the other car. He disappeared, and me and Paul were left to just drive to the end of the race.
It was one of the most bizarre races we've seen all season, I've got to say, in the midfield, certainly. Tell us a little bit about your season as a whole as well, because obviously you're a relatively new face compared to some of these guys who have been here right from the very start, back at what is nearly 3 years ago now. So tell us how you found your opening moments in this championship.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this championship this season. I feel like I've got a lot quicker than when I started, which was my main objective for the season. I've had some really good battles. I've had some great battles at the front of the field and great battles at the back of the field. So it's a real great bunch of drivers and people on and off the track. They all really chatty and helpful in that during the season. I just struggled really with the low downfall circuits. The high downfalls I seem to have a little bit better pace, but on the low downforce, I just really struggled for some reason. So if we run this car again next season, I need to work on the low downforce setup and try and find a little bit more speed so I can be a bit more in the midfield where I want to be really for future seasons. But overall, it is a great championship, really well organised. And yeah, I'm really pleased to be part of it as a driver and also as a series sponsor. And with that as well, I'm going to be making some really nice trophies for the top 3. So I'll be contacting them in the coming days to sort all that out and yeah, make something really cool for them, which they hopefully haven't got before.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that in mind, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go for the season?
Yeah, you and James again for the broadcast. It's great to watch it back, and you seem to capture all the action front and back of the field, which is great for everyone. Obviously, the admin team for putting in all the hard work behind the scenes, because I know at the beginning of the season it was a bit hit and miss with the car issues we had. And then lastly to the drivers and for making it a great season. And I hope they've all enjoyed it as much as I have, and hope to see them all in next season as well.
Absolutely. We look forward to having you back, Paul. Thanks very much for chatting to us this evening, and we'll see you next season.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks very much,
guys.
Paul Godden, there chatting to us after the race at Le Mans. We've still got a couple more to go, by the way. We'll go with Phil Glower, who it was in the top 10 for the second time in 2 races in the second one there. Phil, starting from the front is obviously always very difficult, very hard work in the reverse grid especially, but made even harder by all the chaos that happened at turn 1. Just tell us about what you saw through there and the opening laps as well.
I don't really remember anything about turn 1, to be honest. I remember that my clutch didn't let me down and I didn't get a bad start. I remember John coming past me down the straight. I don't know whether it was on the second lap or the first lap. And then all I could remember is sort of trying to hold on to third. And I think I was probably holding on to third till about, I don't know, for at least 3 or 4 laps. And then you might be able to tell me, but I think it was Jamie on one of the corners overtook me, and I think we just came together a little bit, and then I don't know, about 3 or 4 people went past me at that point. But yeah, quite enjoyed it, really.
Yeah, it was very enjoyable to watch. Certainly, you were involved in a lot of the action that we were watching and enjoying throughout that one. Tell us about your season as well here, Philly. Are you pleased with the season as a whole and how it's gone?
Well, I always enjoy it, which is, I know I say that every week, but that's the main thing. I think next season, I mean, reflecting on this season, I've made quite a few changes, had a few problems. I had 2 races last week where basically I had to go into the pits because my clutch wasn't set up right. So I've had a bit of bad luck as well. But now I've got new pedals. I'm starting to get used to those. I'm hoping next year or next season might be a little bit stronger for me, but I don't know whereabouts will I have been in the championship. Probably midway somewhere now, I think.
Well, let's have a look for you at the moment. Coming into today,
it's 14th.
You were.
He's 14th.
You think 14th?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it's very close around there, so I'll go with that. Yeah, that seems correct. So yeah, a decent result for yourself, certainly. Phil, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go for the season?
Well, I'd just like to ask you guys whether how have you found the season this time around?
Oh yeah, very much enjoyed it. I think the move to the sprint and feature format has been a very good one in terms of entertainment, at the aspect of things that we obviously enjoy here up in the booth, and the fact that we don't have the endurance races this season has meant that the championship has been a lot closer as well, or a little bit less complicated, let's say. I know it was a little bit complicated with the drop weeks, but last season was absolutely something else. This season wasn't quite so bad, so that was a positive as well. I don't know if you've taken anything else away from this season, James.
No, I fully enjoyed it. I don't think I've ever stood up so much commentating, to be honest. I was up on my feet again during that race. And there's been a few races where I've been stood up. I love this sprint and feature setup. I think it's been absolutely amazing. I think it's provided some great racing, great close championship, and one to look forward to for next season if they go the same way. I think, to be honest, all the drivers have done exceptional, even with the fact that, you know, we've only had 15 cars tonight, and it was still full on from the very beginning. And I think that's what this season's been all about.
Yeah, I think what I like, because obviously I'm lower down in the grid, what I like about the opportunity to try and get, on the front of the grid, is it gives you a little bit chance of finishing mid-pack generally, I suppose, for somebody like me. But it also teaches you a little bit of racecraft, and also knowing when to give up the fight. I know you had a thing about that before, but there's no point in causing problems for somebody who's clearly a lot faster than you. So yeah, it teaches you quite a bit lower down the grid, I think.
Absolutely. It's been great having you here once again, here, Phil, this season, and we look forward to seeing you for the next. Thanks for chatting to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Take care, guys.
Thanks very much. Phil Glover chatting to us there once again at the end of the season. Normally that rounds off our interviews, but that won't be the case here this week. We can now bring in Simon Edwards to the booth, who unfortunately has lost the championship at the final round here. Simon, welcome in. Good to have you here, but not under such circumstances, I suppose. Tell us how you're feeling after that second race tonight.
I'm okay. John's done well. It was going to be take a chance, either of us really there in that second race, starting from behind. I thought I'd last longer than the second corner though, but yeah, it is what it is. We've all had bad luck and good luck, and John's deserved the championship this season. He's driven consistently and got some good wins, and he snuck that win off me on the first race as well.
Yeah. It was a good battle, actually, from a neutral's perspective. Certainly, we were enjoying it. But as we're just seeing the replay now, there's not a whole lot you could have done about the contact made on lap one and whatever. We were obviously talking at length about the damage. Just how frustrating was it to drive with that level of damage? Irrespective of what's on the line here in this race, it's got to be very frustrating to drive with that level of damage in any race, surely.
Yeah, I mean, even if I was in a close draft, it wouldn't pull me along. So, yeah, it's really frustrating because the car was mechanically all right. I could still drive it round the corners as fast, but it's so crippling not to have... I was barely getting into sixth gear. So, yeah, it was frustrating. I was just staying in the race to see if there was a big accident that might take 4 cars out. And I thought I might be able to sneak a place or two at the end there, but they wouldn't let me pass. So... yeah, it is what it is. I'm not too mad.
Absolutely. So there we are. I'm glad you're taking it so graciously as well, but I didn't expect anything less. Is there anything or anyone, or well, I suppose anything, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I'll give a shout out to poor Mike, who was unsighted behind me in that second race. I'm sure I think he feels bad. He PM'd me. There's nothing really to feel bad about. I'd slowed down, given myself some choices, but I'm sure he was immediately behind me, so he wouldn't have been able to see what was going on. So yeah, and then I went flying into 3 people. So yeah, so poor old Mike. I'll give a shout out to him.
There we are. Simon, thanks for joining us, even under the circumstances, and we look forward to seeing you back next season.
Yeah, thank you, and congrats on the broadcast this season. It's been great to watch back.
Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure to be a part of. Simon Edwards joining us there at the end of the race here, Le Mans. And that is going to bring an end to our interviews now. Unfortunately, James Child hasn't got his microphone sorted enough for us to be able to chat to him today, which is unfortunate. But congratulations to him on a podium place for the first time in a while this season. And hopefully we'll see him back in season 3 of 2023 as well. But high drama right at the end here, James. It was thoroughly enjoyable to watch, but John McCutcheon, the champion at the end.
Yeah, definitely, and well deserved there as well. I want to touch on James Child, what he's put actually. He's put, sorry guys, no mic set up. If you see this, thanks to all Daryl and all for the great racing. Awesome streaming this season as always. And if I'm allowed to shout out, can it be for my lad Austin? So welcome Austin there. Big shout out from Dad, who's watching tonight and is massively excited to be going to Le Mans next week. So they're off to Le Mans. Absolutely amazing there as well. But there you go. Austin, big shout out to you. I think John was the worthy champion and he had some bad luck last season. It didn't happen this season. He's done an incredible race. Full determination from the Scotsman. He you know, he come out, he said it, I'm just going to keep winning until it's mathematically impossible. And that's what he did. He just won it and got it done in the final race. So well done to him. Absolutely incredible. We do have good news, guys, as well. Myself and Ewan will return on the 15th of June, where we will start season 3 of 2023. So there you go. We will be back again in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, and make sure you tune in again here on the JPB YouTube channel. I know week 13 is coming up and iRacing is almost comes to a complete halt, doesn't it, sometimes? But we do still have broadcasts going on, albeit a few less than usual. If you subscribe and turn on the notification bells, you'll hear a lot more of those notifications in about a week and a half's time, when week 1 of the iRacing schedule kicks off for season 3, and it'll be chaos on this channel, but in a good way. There'll be lots of racing going on, so make sure you tune in for that. But that's going to do it for our broadcast here this evening. A big thanks to everyone who's watched the Radical Race series over the course of the season. It's been another absolute classic with another title decider, a championship coming down to the very final race. John McCutcheon, your champion for the second time in the Radical Race series. He will be looking to defend that crown when we return in 2 weeks' time. Until we see you then, from me, Ewan O'Leary, and James Parfitt alongside me, it's goodbye for now.